Aaron Judge just got hurt, and it is going to send ripple effects throughout the whole entire league. Welcome back to Good Sports for You, where we are talking about good sports for you. And today we're going to be talking about the Aaron Judge injury and how it is going to affect everyone. First, starting with the team of the Yankees, then Judge himself, and then the entire league, including the MVP race. But before we hop into it, I want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. So let's start with the actual injury itself. Now, apparently Judge had been playing through some pain, and his last game played was May 31st, and he got diagnosed with a stress fracture in his rib. Now, obviously, that is not good news. No injury is good news, but the bone itself being broken, or a fracture at the bare minimum, is definitely bad. And the timetable that I have seen for this injury has been like 4 to 6 weeks, and then rehab and stuff like that. So we could estimate a time of return maybe anywhere between like mid-July after the All-Star break to like early August. But obviously I'm not a doctor, and the thing about injuries is when they get better, and sometimes they just don't get better for a while. So it could be longer, it could be shorter. I'm not here to speculate about that. I'm mostly here to talk about the ripple effects of the injury itself, because it is going to affect everyone in all of baseball. That's what happens when you have such a pivotal figure like Aaron Judge go down. So let's start with the Yankees themselves. So obviously the Yankees have been a really good team, but that has been with Judge. And I would like to note though, Judge has been great. Judge does what Judge does. He has an OPS in the 900s, which is obviously phenomenal. But this is not like a Herculean season by Judge. Like last season, the season before, when he has a 1.1 OPS and he's crushing like 55 home runs, he was not on that pace this year. He was having a very good season, an all-star season, maybe like a top 7 in MVP voting instead of a top 1 in MVP voting, right? So it's not as big of a hurt to this Yankees team as it would have been in other years. And especially because other players are already stepping up, or have been stepping up this season, I should say. Ben Rice is the prime example of what has kept this offense going. And this offense has been very, very good. On the season right now, it's second in OPS, fifth in runs, and first in home runs. And like I said, Ben Rice has been this key cog. He's number 2 in my MVP race right now. And if you're not watching on the shorts, make sure to do that, right? He has been consistent, and he's been really, really good. However, Ben Rice is not Aaron Judge, even though the numbers show that he has actually been better than Aaron Judge hitting-wise. Who is going to strike more fear into the hearts of pitchers and to the opposing managers? It's always going to be Aaron Judge. If you have the opportunity to pitch to Ben Rice over Aaron Judge, you will do that 10 times out of 10 every single time, right? Another guy who has stepped it up big time is going to be Cody Bellinger. He's had a really, really good season. He's been very solid offensively. He's been in the mix for my MVP talks, right? He's like second in WAR in the American League for position players. He has just been phenomenal. His hitting isn't quite to the level of Aaron Judge or Ben Rice. He's not having a 1. OPS. He's in like the 850 range, which is still really good for the defense that he plays especially. He plays a very good outfield, so he is a big-time plus. But then maybe the most important player who needs to continue to be good is going to be Paul Goldschmidt. He's going to see more run because, okay, you have a big bat out. Who's going to be your DH? Paul Goldschmidt is definitely in that mix, because you're probably, or they already did call up Spencer Jones, who's a guy that I'm going to talk about later, so he'll be getting some outfield run. You need a good bat. Paul Goldschmidt can be that guy if he can keep up that level of production. And like I said, Spencer Jones got called up, and he's highly touted prospect. He's the 6th ranked prospect in the Yankees system. That's great. He's not Aaron Judge. Yes, he is also a 6'7" outfielder, but no matter how good he is going to be, he will be a rookie. He is not Aaron Judge. He can obviously not fill that void. He can add something, but it's not going to be enough. The thing that they need to rely on right now is actually going to be the pitching. The offense will slow down, we know that. But if the pitching can remain consistently excellent, you have a chance to stay afloat and be contending for this AL East crown as the season goes on. You look at the rotation, and it is absolutely loaded. It goes toe-to-toe with any rotation right now in all of baseball. You have Garrett Cole, who, as we know, is one of the most talented players of this generation. You have Cam Schlittler, who has been phenomenal this season. Even like a Will Warren, even a Ryan Weathers have been really, really good. Carlos Rodon is back from injury. We all know what he can do. He's got a sub-3 ERA. Max Fried is hurt right now, so he's on the injured list, but he's another guy What is that? What did I just say? Cole, Schlittler, Warren, Fried, Weathers, Rodon. That's a 6-man rotation, all of whom are really, really good. Easily a sub-4 ERA you can expect from every single one of them. So if you can rest on that pitching rotation, you don't need to worry as much about the offense. Obviously, you still need to worry about the offense, but it's not going to be as big of a concern, which is why I'm not super worried about what is going to happen with the Yankees. In years prior, it's been rough when he hasn't been on the field. This is from an MLB article that I'm going to link in the description. Since the start of the 2021 season, the Yankees have had a winning percentage of .589 with Judge in the lineup, averaging 4.9 runs per game with a team OPS of .757, and this is according to Elias Sports Bureau. And then when he's not in the lineup, the record drops to .437, while scoring 3.8 runs per game with a team OPS of .672. That's almost an 80-point difference in OPS. That's dropping 1 run per game, even more so actually, and a huge winning percentage drop of 150 points. But my argument is I don't think that any of those teams have had the pitching capability that this Yankees team has had. So even if the offense does drop, I firmly believe that the pitching rotation should be enough to keep the team at bay. However, it has been tough sledding already for this Yankees team. In the time since Judge has been hurt, they've gone 1-3. That's not fantastic. Obviously, that's a huge losing percentage, but that's just a start. It's a very, very small sample size. A couple bad games there, a couple of bad games there. My concern is they also have not been scoring runs. I don't believe they've scored more than 5 runs in any of those games. That's a big time concern. And then we move on from the team to Judge himself. What does this mean for Judge? My chief concern is that he's getting older. And I know that he's only 34, so he's still basically in his prime. But my thing with age, and I don't know if this is just me being a worrier or whatever it may be, players can fall off a cliff when they get old very, very quickly. You look at Albert Pujols, he was on pace to be one of the greatest hitters ever, and he was. He went to the Angels, and he had 1 or 2 decent seasons, and then he dropped off so hard. Do I think that that's going to happen with Aaron Judge right now? No, absolutely not. I think that he still has 3 or 4 very good MVP caliber seasons in the tank right now. However, if he keeps playing at the defensive intensity that he plays with in the outfield, that's only going to speed up the timeline for how often he gets hurt and how often he will just stop being as good. So my concerns are going to be, is this going to limit how he plays defensively in the outfield? Will he start playing DH more? Which is a big concern for this Yankees team because you have Stanton on the team and he can only really play DH. He is such a liability in the outfield defensively that you basically have your DH spot eaten up at all times. So now Judge has to be playing the outfield very consistently, or you're not having Stanton in the lineup. And then also with Paul Goldschmidt and Ben Rice. You either got first base or DH with the two of them, unless you're putting Ben Rice behind the plate, which I don't think that they've done at all this season. So now you just have another guy that's going to be eating up the DH spot. So it's like this team doesn't feel well constructed to Judge not being able to play the field. But my concern is the more that you play the field, especially with defensive intensity, that you're only going to narrow your timeline for a successful Judge. So that is my chief concern. But I would also like to note, Judge kind of had a lot of injuries early on in his career. He wasn't really playing consistently until he started winning his MVPs all the time. So it's this isn't the first time that we've had some injury bugs with Judge. So I expect him to be better and to be able to play at the same level that he's played before at all times, essentially, especially with his hitting. But like I said, my big thing is how he does in the outfield. And then the final thing about Judge specifically is he's out of the MVP race. He really is. I mean, he hasn't been playing his best baseball. And like I said, his best baseball is worlds above any other hitter besides Shohei Ohtani right now. His best baseball is a 1.15 OPS. He doesn't have that this season. He has an OPS in the 9s, which is fantastic. I would like to know. He's also not going to be able to play in the All-Star game. He'll probably be an All-Star, but he won't be selected, or he won't be able to play in the All-Star game because he will be hurt. And then, like I said, the MVP will be hurt, which is a bummer because he definitely could have won 3 MVPs in a row. But now this opens up the field to anyone else to win MVP. And now the question moves on to how does this affect the league as a whole? And I'm going to start with the individual players in the league. Who can win MVP in the AL? The door is completely open. Yordan is the best hitter in the league now. Point blank, period. I mean, he was already a top 3 hitter in the league. It was him, Judge, and Ohtani, in my opinion. Maybe in that order. I would have to think about that. But those were the top 3. And now he is the clear-cut best hitter in the American League. He has the best OPS. He's 4th in WAR for position players while being a DH. That's the caveat with Yordan is, okay, he's a DH. How much value can he bring if he isn't playing with the field? You got a guy who is playing the field, but he's playing first base, which isn't the most valuable position, in Ben Rice, who has also been hitting so good. My concern with Rice is we have seen this out of Yordan his entire career. You know, we've seen how good of a hitter Judge can be, and Ohtani and Soto and all these guys. You haven't seen that yet with Ben Rice. You've seen great moments here or there. This season is really where it's all coming together, and I'm just kind of waiting for the ball to drop, you know, when things start to go south for him. I really hope that they don't, because I really like Ben Rice, and I like him. I think he's a really good player. However, I don't think that he'll be able to keep up a 1. OPS his entire season. If he does, that would be awesome. But will that even be enough for him to win MVP? Because you also have Cam Schlittler from his own team, who's definitely in conversations because he's been easily the best pitcher in the American League. Cody Bellinger, like I said, has been having a phenomenal season, especially in terms of WAR. Another guy who's having another great WAR season is Bobby Witt Jr. He's probably the most well-rounded player in the game, but right now his offense just hasn't been good enough for me to warrant him being a number 1 or even top 3 in MVP right now. He's approaching an OPS that's in the 7s, and that's not enough to be an MVP. However, his WAR is easily the best for position players. And then you even have more players that are later down the line. You got Nick Kurtz in there. You got Shea Langoliers. You got Mike Trout could be a possibility. I would love to see that. You know, you got Byron Buxton. Like, this just opens the door so much more to so many other players being able to win MVP, which I guess could be a silver lining in all of this. Although there are no silver linings in injuries. Injuries are bummers for everyone. I would rather see a healthy Aaron Judge to be able to compete in the MVP than have him not be able to compete in the MVP. But this does create an exciting time for baseball. And then when it comes to team successes for other teams, this leads the AL East open. It is the Rays division to lose now. They have been the best team in the American League by winning percentage, and they've been playing a unique brand of baseball, which is really fun and cool to see. Will that be able to keep up? I sure hope so, because I really like the Tampa Bay Rays. However, their run differential really isn't the best. They're only like a +11 on the season, and the Yankees are like plus 91 or something like that. So the Rays could drop, but we could see another team rise up. The Baltimore Orioles have been kind of hitting a groove. Adley Rutschman has been really good this season. Could the Red Sox make some noise? Could the Blue Jays? They were in the World Series last year. I mean, any of these teams could see a weakened Yankees team and take this as an opportunity to pounce and catch up on some games to try to make their case to win the AL East. If I had to give my honest guess, I don't think that the Yankees are going to drop a ton, because I just think that they're a very good team, and other players have been able to supplement what Judge has been doing, like I said, considering that Judge hasn't really been Judge this season. And with the pitching staff, I definitely don't think that the Yankees team is going to drop too far. I think that they will drop. However, once Judge does come back, I still think that they're going to be second in the AL East, probably by a good chunk, honestly. I think that if they can go 500 during this stretch, I would consider that a win. I don't think Judge is going to win the MVP. I don't even think that he'll be top 10. I just think that this is too much of a blow to lose almost 2 months of a season. That's a lot of games that you're losing. You're probably going to lose at a bare minimum, probably like 35, 40 games, whatever it may be. So he's not going to win MVP. So that's going to open it up for a lot of people. If I had to place my money right now, which I don't condone sports betting, I would probably put it on Yordan Alvarez. I think that he's been really good. And I think that if there's any player who could just be a DH who could win it, it would be him. I would love to see Mike Trout or Byron Buxton win it, though. Those would be my 2 guys to win it. But that is what I got. If you have any thoughts and opinions on the Aaron Judge situation, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and I'm out. Peace.